Episode is going to be teaching you how to practically manipulate the reality by creating the element that will create the reality that you want. Creating the element that will create the reality. The element we're talking about is going to be an element that represents your thinking, that represents your dream, that represents your goal, that represents whatsoever you desire to have in this life. That is the element which you are going to be creating a composite that is going to transubstantiate into materialism. That's going to transmit it into materialism. A lot of videos, a lot of people teaches you how to create a mental picture that when you have a mental picture of whatever you want up here and you immerse a feeling in the reality of that mental picture and you are consistent and go about whatever you do to make ends meet is going to become reality. It is absolutely true. However, creating this very mental picture here can be very difficult because it's not everybody who understands what it is to create a mental picture. Some people actually understand how to create a mental picture, know exactly what mental picture is, having a picture of something, imagination, imagining something. That's what the mental picture is all about, imagining something. But in this very video episode today, I'm going to be teaching you different ways to be able to help you create more version of the mental picture of whatever you want. And that will help to shape the reality, that will help to hack the reality into your own life. I've done this a lot of times. So I am not teaching you because someone has taught you. I'm teaching you from my experience. Everything which I ever own today, everything which I've ever achieved has come through this same process. So I am such kind of a person who will sit down and imagine what I want to do, how I want to get it. And as soon as I imagined it, sometimes writing it down can be very hard. I use a lot of process. And those processes is what I'm going to be teaching you today. And once I start implementing this process, which I'm going to be teaching you today, there are different methods, different ways I actually invented myself out of trying to get abundant lifestyle for myself, for my family, future life. And you can use this to manifest anything. You can use this to manifest your future partner, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, whatsoever you desire. You can use this very vast method which I'm going to be showing you today to create that mental picture that will fast pedal the process from spiritual realm or from imaginative thinking into materialism, into physical state. Now let's dive in. When I mean that I practice this a lot of times, that's why I said I have different methods. Now the first method here is, if it is a material thing which you really want, if it's a car, if it is appliance and your saving is not making up to it, right? If you're still using savings and your saving is not meeting up to it, well, what you need to do is you should find online stores. I prefer online stores because these days the world is moving into the digital world, so you are much more, you are always with your phone, and your phone is your best companion, and therefore if you keep it close to your phone, you can be able to reach to it and be able to recreate it, or just kind of recycle it. I'm not talking about recycling. Recirculate it. Thank you. That's the right word there. Recirculate it within your subconscious mind. And when you recirculate it within your subconscious mind, you can have more feelings chiseled into it, and that will shape it from imaginative thinking into reality. So that first thing there which you need is online stores that sell the product which you want. I call it the power of wish list. So go ahead, that very item which you have. But why doing this? I want you to believe. The first thing I want you to do is to believe. Whatever I'm teaching people on how to attract anything they want in this life, the first thing I talk about is belief, because belief is the hardest thing, which is very hard. In fact, in my own analysis, my own personal analysis and research, your school, your degree, your apprenticeship program, they will yield to nothing if you don't believe. The chemical formulas, the calculus, the mathematical formula, they cannot work. They cannot go into your memory without you believing. It's when you believe that all these things comes to play. That all these things come into reality. So go to that online stores and pick that item. Make sure that you find the online stores that sells what you want, what you are trying to attract. Then go ahead and pick it and put it into the wish list. When you put it into the wish list, take time to visit that very portal there and view it in your wish list where you have it right there. Even if you are not buying it, still browse about it in that same portal where you have it as your wish list, or browse it in some other websites. But what I'm trying to do, don't be very, very broad. When I mean broad, it's too profound that you cannot be able to collectively know exactly that this is what you want. Pick it one or two at a time. If you cannot be able to handle keeping two thoughts in your memory, start with one. When you master one, then start with 2, 3, and more. Here, when you put it right there, browse about it. This will help to recirculate the memory in your head and chisel it into your subconscious mind. I want you to believe that you can have that which you put in the wish list. Don't think it's impossible. Don't say no. I'll just put it in the wish list, then later in life I will get it. No. Put it in a wish list like someone who is going to buy it tomorrow, and have it at the back of your mind. Believe it without doubt that that car is yours, that house is yours, so long as it's in your wish list. That's why they told you be careful what you wish for, because wish actually does come true. But the intensity of our emotion that we involve in it, the feelings we immerse into it, is what is going to fast pedal the process of substantiating that very thing which I've done there. That act which you just did right there is what we call ritual. And the ritual is what actually activates whatever we want, change it from the thinking state into reality. Now, that's the first one. Now, the second one is you can sketch it yourself. Why do you want to sketch it yourself? Why don't give it to a painter to paint it yourself? I don't agree with the painter going to paint it for you. Instead, do it yourself. Try as much as possible. Even if it looks ugly, it doesn't care. What matters is that you can be able to recognize what you have painted, what you have sketched there. Why do you want to sketch it? Because the more you sketch it, try to take time, my dear. The more it looks real to you when you sketch it, the more you attach your feelings to it. Whatever you do with your own hands is something which you did out of your feeling, out of your thinking, out of your own creativity. So it comes out from you, and therefore it will be yours. It will be yours. It is yours already, sorry. It is yours. Why is it yours? Because everything you can see in this very world right now, the camera phone you use, the car, the house, the yacht, the ship, all started from inside. The mega structures which you can see in the world, none of them can exist without a simple thought. Before even the architect lifts a pen, he has to think about it. And that thing can start from within inside. And therefore, you can do the same thing. It all begins from you. So you are the product of what you think. And that is why I said, use your own hand to sketch it. No matter how ugly it is, it doesn't matter. But if you can sketch it to be much more beautiful, that it can excite you, to be more that you did that actually comes out from you, and that is what you're going to get. That is yours. The more excited you are about it as the reality, the more faster it takes shape. And that will fast pedal anything which you have been doing as means of earning money. Because why doing this? You have to have a shop, you have to have a place you go to work, you have to have something you do to earn money. But that very act which you do right now, which I taught you to do, which I asked you to do, even though I'm not the first person teaching you to do it, is the ritual which you're performing that's going to fast pedal the process of activating or attracting that thing very fast. So do it yourself, do it with your own hand. And there's going to be more feeling attached to it when you do it than when someone do it for you. That is the second process. Now the third process, you can use your phone to capture the picture, right? Capture the picture, then try as much as possible to use a picture design app to group them together in such a way that it makes sense to you. It might not make sense to any other person. It might not make sense to Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D, but it makes sense to you. You are the interpreter, you are the architect of that very reality which you have decided to group together. This world is a work of architect. The roof, the building you're living, the phone you're using, the computer, the universe is a work of architect. And so, you being able to creatively combine some certain element together, that it makes a lot of sense and it makes you happy. The happiness I'm talking about is that, oh, that looks so beautiful. No, that's not the happiness I'm talking about. The happiness I'm talking about is, oh, that is mine. The reality of that thing is mine. That house, that car, that fancy whatsoever futuristic design which I've done, it is existing the moment you have architected it into a certain place, that you constantly grow it, you constantly involve your feeling into it, chisel your feelings, your heart, your body into it, it becomes a reality. Now, if you have been doing a work that are paying you peanuts before, believe me when I say, if you don't believe that that work is going to give you, is going to grow to the point of bringing that thing which you have into reality, then cut it off, quit, and choose that one which you strongly believe without any doubt, that you logically believe that by so and so time doing this, I'm going to get that. If it is YouTube video that you believe, if it is online marketing whatsoever, so long as you believe it. If you don't believe it, quit. I said fire yourself. I don't mean shoot yourself in the head. Fire yourself and start that very one which you strongly believe, which you constantly, which your heart is always on, that you constantly believe that this is what I want, this will get me anywhere in life I want. Don't follow people, right? Because you don't know the process, you don't know the spiritual processes which they use to get whatever they want. There are very occultic ritual processes, that fast better processes, in fact giving you access into spiritual realms, which Masonic mercenary people do a lot, Illuminati and the rest of it. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is the harmless one, where you don't have to shed anyone's blood, where you don't have to kill anyone. What you're just simply doing is reconnecting your own self, your own body, to your own subconscious mind, and immersing your own feeling inside it as if it's the reality, and act upon it as a reality without any doubt. The shift begins. The fourth method. The fourth method there is, this is going to be very much specific, depend on the goal, depend on what you have desire that you want to get. Let's say that you have been driving a Volkswagen Jetta and you have been using that car for 5 years, and you want to, meanwhile, what you have in your mind, what you have as your dream car, as your next car you want to have as your next car, not a dream car, is Lamborghini. But meanwhile, the kind of job which you're doing cannot pay you within a year to be able to get a Lamborghini. And here is what you're going to do. I want you to find somebody, a friend. It could be a friend, it could be a partner, it could be anybody who has that very car which you want to manifest. Try to become a friend to that person. There is a spiritual connection with whatever I'm telling you right now. Become a friend to that person, to the point where he can trust you, to the point where he can even allow you. The goal there is just for you to drive that Lamborghini, take pictures of it, and immerse yourself in the happiness of driving it and owning one. That is it, one. But other spiritual connection that lies there is when once you can be able to create that bond, or that very friendship between you and that man there, and try as much as possible to chisel your own self into him. What I mean chiseling your own self into him is for him to see you as someone who is of equal stand, forgetting that you have all that money that they can be able to buy, pull off Lamborghini off shelf without shaking his account balance. Then you have done a great job. By so doing, he can be able to literally share the secret of making money with you and leaving the key for you to decide. If it is about doing drugs or whatsoever, you might decide to know if it go contrary against your own will. But if you believe in some other ways which you can be able to do it, but you just want to create the realistic mental picture of it, go ahead and get someone who have it. Instead of take pictures, do videos of it, right? Play your favorite music in it. And what we're trying to do here is you're trying to make sure that you make it as real as possible, as familiarism, creating a familiarism that makes you be in a state of like, this is my car, not your friends. Doing it once is not enough. You need to do it so much that even the owner will start having start having that mindset that probably you own one somewhere. Don't bash it. take care of it. In fact, one of the things you want to do again to that very car is I want you to go ahead and wash it. I don't mean give it to a car wash. Use your own hand to wash that car. There is a saying, a very proverb in our own place that says, if you want to become a king, you should worship a king. You heard me right. It's true. Now, this very teaching which I'm teaching you here, these are things that I did carelessly without knowing even before buying my first car. Back in 2010, 2011, 2012, I don't have my first car. But I know who have cars. And they're not my age mate, they're not my social playmate or status. Do you know what I did? I offered myself as a free service to them. They have different contracts they're doing different places. So I want to chisel myself into them to become very useful to them. The kind of work, that job that I do then cannot even be able to buy me a car. It is becoming like, is it even possible for me to own a car? Because in Africa, to own a car is a big deal. Because they believe that when you have a car, you have arrived. What that means is that taking care of a car is not a child thing. The maintaining car, if you can maintain a car, you can do a lot of things. And I agree with that. Now, creating the reality you want, or creating the element that creates the reality that you want. Have you ever wondered why they say you are addressed the way you dress? Let me ask you, what differentiates certain people from other people? Let's say that when you see someone driving a Lamborghini and come around, what differentiates that person to someone who is driving a Volkswagen, or let's say Toyota? Okay, Toyota. When you see someone park a Lamborghini, pull out on a Lamborghini, and someone who pull out on a Toyota, what is the impression it gives you in your heart? Without anyone's influenced opinion, just your own. You will believe that the other person is more expensive and the other person is less expensive. That's what it is. Now, the same thing happens to dress. And that is why, if you want to manifest some of the things you want to manifest, this is the fifth stage. You have to dress in conformity with the goal you want to achieve. You can't be looking tattered. You can't be looking like you are hopeless and trying to convince people that you are hopeful. No, it's not possible. You can't be trying to own a house of $1 million and you're always looking wretched. No. Let's say you're trying to own a house that worth $1 million. You need to choose a career. You need to choose a business that you believe, like I said, I have always said this a lot, that you believe that can make you that money. And when you're going on that very business trip, it is very wise for you to invest in yourself, that when you look at yourself, you will be so stunned that anyone you get to, you'll be so courageous that anyone you get to make a proposal about whatever business you want to pitch to him will look at your appearance and accept whatever you want to say, even though if it is rubbish. The way you dress opens doors for you. When I'm talking about dress, what you wear, how your physical makeup, your fatigue, your physical makeup, even the phones you have, they're all part of your dressing. So it speaks for you even before you talk to the person. Because what we do these days, what people do these days is that, first of all, profile you even before you try to talk about whom you are. They want to believe what they see. So that's why the seeing is believing. They want to believe what they see. So if you look wretched, they don't give you the chance of someone who is looking very dashing. I see a lot of these things play on when we're going on to secure a contract, a serious contract. Now, do you know what happens when we go to fetch those contracts? The people who have more of higher value are giving attention, and those who have less of value, that is very, very impressive on the first glance, are given the opportunity. Why we are denied, even though when we have more skills and we can do even the job better? Why? Because the appearance has a way of intimidating, bringing the presence of intimidation that creates a way for us even before we open our mouth. That is why dressing is part of this whole thing. So when you have aligned yourself that you want to own a Lamborghini, you should start living the life of someone who owns a Lamborghini. Start thinking like someone who owns a Lamborghini. Start talking like someone who owns a Lamborghini. Start dressing like someone who owns a Lamborghini. Because all this influence your own habits too. think deeper, broader, and attract more broader personality to your own life, because this very personality you attract are ones that can actually help to create that future which you want to get. The dressing, the car, all these patterns which I've taught you here is something I do a lot of time. There was upon a time an uncle of mine wanted me to sell something I've never sold before to a company, a gigantic company, a stone quarry company. This company is owned by a white man in Nigeria. I look at myself in the mirror and I look very small. This time I'm talking about here, I look very young. But the item I'm about to sell runs in millions. And my uncle said I should sell it, he's going to give me a certain percentage. I keep my eye on that price. But there is a problem. I don't have car and I don't have that look of an old man that's gonna, because I believe, those are my belief that is gonna open doors for me. So what did I do in order to be able to be accepted into the system, in order to be given the attention that I deserve to pitch my business? I did this very thing here, and I never knew I'm gonna bring it up to come and tell you guys as a story today. You know what the first thing I did? I actually went there normally as I would dress, and when I went there, the security was the first person to kick me into the car and told me that they are not available right now. Meanwhile, I was hearing activities of them breaking stones, and I was seeing cars, big trucks that are carrying out some things. And what I want to pitch to these people, to sell to these people, as something that's going to be very beneficial for their business, to the belt that the machine uses, is what I'm going to pitch to them, to sell to them. I did this multiple times. I keep getting the same answer. Now, I went back and said no. The first thing I did after all that didn't work is to get a suit. And next, to grow my hair, because when my hair get bigger, I look older. So they should stop looking at me like a very little boy that is a scammer, because that's the first impression you create when you're talking, and what you're talking doesn't match with your appearance or your personality. People think you're a scammer. That's what it is. So that is exactly the same way when people perceive you that way. That's exactly the same way the universe perceives you. I want you to believe. If you can create the impression of making everyone here to believe that you are a billionaire, the universe start taking you to be a billionaire. If you create the impression here that you have all that you need aside spoken word, you will start receiving it. The impression is the reality. That's why they say you don't need a second chance to create the first impression. So that first impression is very important. So after I change getting a nice suit, it's not expensive, but I package myself very well, and I came right there. Now there are other makeup, there are other dressing I could have put on, like coming with a car. So when I profile the car, I know that the car is actually worth the money but of the item which I'm about to sell. So I'm no more looking like a scam. However, since I don't have a car and my uncle will not lend me his car, what do I have to do? The suit is my confidence and my hair. And I got a smartphone, because then smartphone is rarely found. So when I went back to the place I go to, I walk with the whole confidence, because I'm much more confident in that suit that I'm wearing, my bushy hair. Immediately, the security changes his tone and told me I should wait. He's gonna call the manager. And he called the manager. The manager said I should give him a second that's gonna be there. They offered me a seat to sit down. And I tell you what, I later sold it. So what did I do? It's a simple changing of my own dress to create a new impression. When you create a new impression, you are creating a new reality. That is what it is. Now the last one which I'm going to be using to teach you how to create the element that can create the reality. Creating the element that creates the reality is, if it is a home that you want, you can decide to visit the friends who have such kind of homes, or make a friend with someone who will have such kind of homes. It takes time, right? It takes time for you to be able to be accepted by someone who owns such a mansion, such kind of, a luxury home. Because you have to change your dressing, you have to start going to club to meet them in the club, you have to even possibly have the kind of equal car, and they'll start seeing you as equal. But sometimes, even if though you don't have those cars, but if you can meet them where they get to party and dress in such a smashing way. Dressing speaks a lot, guys. Dressing, your attire speaks a lot. It opens way for you guys. can make a lot of people to start believing that you are of the same caliber with them. What we're trying to do here is to blend into the system, create that impression that we are together, to have access, to create the reality, to create an element that creates the reality we want to have. All we want here is to get into their home, take pictures, take videos, be in one with them, that even to some point that they can invite us over. When you stay in that very apartment, there are only few people who can stay in a very wretched place and project themselves living in a big mansion and a luxury home. When you start having that feeling, when you start sitting there and familiarizing yourself with the bed, it doesn't just only go into the sitting room, even the bed, because this is what you want to get. So be confident enough, erase every iota of fear and walk in with all boldness. Next thing that's gonna start happening is you're gonna start hearing questions like, what do you do for a living? If you have played that very card very well, and this person accepts you as his friends, I'm not talking about you as a girl going to meet a guy, no, it's gonna take advantage of you. I'm talking about you as a guy going to meet a guy, but you are not involved in any some sort of a sexual relationship, no, because that's gonna be a total different thing that's gonna ruin your own chance. You wanna stay as just friends, or friends, but no any some sort of intercourse, right? Do not involve in that. And when you do this, even if you are a girl who is doing this, you're going to end up, he's going to give you some fraction of money and it's gone. But if you stay in the neutral ground where if it is a girl, don't consent to becoming a lesbian, no. Stay on a neutral form and stay ask her politely, if you will, what you do for a living. If his parents is super rich, well, you already know, but she can be able to ask you. But don't get to the point of letting her influence you into using you. What I mean using you is when she decided, okay, how about we go on a date? She's gonna use you. If a guy asks you how you go on a date, he's gonna use you. Don't consent to that. What we're trying to do here is to create a reality that's gonna make you to become like him, even though your father is not stinky rich. But if you can be able to establish that relationship, then use the method which I often use. Go ahead and buy some little cheap materials, create a background, a green screen, then go through the internet and find the best interior apartment, because have it at the back of your mind. Whichever mansion you want to live today, whichever big yacht, ranch you want to live, or duplex you want to live, they all have better and smashing interiors. You can talk about how beautiful the outside is without talking about how beautiful, no matter how gorgeous the outside look, it doesn't even look half of what is inside. So that's what I say. I often tell you that there are more mega structures inside our mind, inside our subconscious, than the one we can see. There are more skyscrapers inside our subconscious and mind than the one we can see in the outside right now, because everything we can see in the entire universe and the entire world right now all started from the inside. It was from a single thought. So you can get this by yourself. You can do this by yourself. You can reshape your future with this. So go ahead and get the best interior which you so much like. It should be so good that it can entice you. Then stay inside it and make a video, talk, run around it. You can even make it in such a way that you can be able to walk and see yourself walk inside it, right? And watch the video. If it is so smashing enough and so good, you're gonna start feeling a new life inside you when you see yourself in that environment. You have done it. Congratulations. And the moment you do this, the reality is shaping itself for you, who have the guts and audacity to do it. So these are diverse processes I use in different locations, different places, and they stimulate things around. One of the greatest magic, the greatest miracle this does is when you started immersing yourself in that happiness, in that reality, it started transforming whatever you do to earn seeds. So long as you have one, you must have something to do to earn seeds. That's why the Bible says, a faith without work is dead. But most of those things, as we explain to you, don't explain it, don't go this far into telling you that you can actually create an element that can help you to create a reality you want. An element of a thought that transmitted into reality, that substantiates into materialism in reality. Congratulations. Good luck. I'll see you on the next one.